I'm Toby Hunter and this is my 16.2 techniques. Okay, so the first technique is demonstration. So this is when a coach will perform to an individual or group of individuals the actual skill that's being taught. So this will be done, it'll be repeated, should be repeated many times and focused on certain aspects. So this can be done by slowing it down or breaking it into stages. So say you're doing a tennis serve, looking at the throw of the ball and then the backwards motion and then actually striking the ball in separate stages to make sure that the individuals understand each and every point. The positives of demonstration is it can be used for all skill levels. So if the individuals are very basic, they don't really know the sport very well, you can teach the basics to them via demonstration. It's very effective. But more professional athletes, you can demonstrate very specific aspects of a skill. So like a certain type of topspin in tennis or backspin you can demonstrate. It can be both team and individual because you'll get everyone together in a team and demonstrate there, so everybody's watching. But in individuals it's even easier because it's only one person watching you. It's very good for visual learners. So some people don't learn very well from people just telling them what to do or stuff like that. They need to be able to see it to be able to replicate that, so that's good for that. It goes with instruction, so whilst someone's demonstrating there'll also be verbal feedback of whilst they're demonstrating to emphasize points, so that makes it even stronger and it's very easy to understand. Just watching someone go through a skill is very easy to understand. Negatives, if the coach is unconfident or doesn't know the skill very well themselves, then it can be very bad because they might do it wrong, or they might contradict themselves. They might do something and then say, oh wait, actually it's this, and that might confuse the performers and maybe they won't copy the right thing. Young children, if they're in a group, or any age really, if they're in a group they might not focus and then therefore they won't get anything out of it. That can be bad for team sports. If they're not focusing, they might miss a really crucial part of the skill or one stage, which means they won't be able to do the whole skill effectively. And it may need a good feed, so if you're teaching tennis you might need a good feed to show them the swing. And that means you have to go through teaching them how to do the feed as well for when they do the drill. That can be more time consuming and you might not have time for that. The second technique is target setting. So this is where a coach will set a flexible target so it can be changed over time if things come up. And it will be over a time period, so this can be short term, mid-term or long term. They're often called SMART targets, which is specific, measurable, accepted, realistic and time phrased. So specific is a detailed target, say by the end of the month or end of next match I want you to increase shots on target by 5%. That links in with measurable, you have to be able to rate it, so a percentage, so increase shots on target by 5%, or even with weights you can say I want you to go an extra 10% higher by next week. Accepted means it should be negotiated with the performer in question or the team in question, and so the coach and the performer should have a conversation and come to a conclusion of what's best for the performer, what they'll be able to do. Realistic, so they shouldn't be too exaggerated. It shouldn't be like after next game I want you to increase shots on target by 100% or not miss a single pass. It should be a realistic target and time phrased, so by the end of next game or by the end of the month or at the end of the season. Positives of this technique is it's very motivating for the performer. If a striker in a team has been told that his coach wants him to score 2 goals or get 10 shots off 10 shots off in the first half is very motivating. They'll be be very motivated to try harder in that game. It's also a good way to collect data and rate performers. So over a period of time, you'll get data where you've set a target, have they met it? If they haven't met it, why haven't they met it? Or what does that mean for their performance? Are they not good in this area? Should they then be put in a different position? It can be individual or team targets. So individual can be very simple things like shots on target, passes made, pass accuracy, whereas team targets you could be, by the end of the season I want you to finish in the top 5, or as a team I want you, I don't know, win the next game by a comfortable margin. They can be set by the coach, as I've said, or even individuals can set their own targets. So performers can set their own targets for games, which will help the coach because the performers are motivating themselves. And as I said earlier, they can be negotiated between the coach and the performer, which means that they reach the best outcome for the performer. The performer knows what the coach wants from them, and he also knows what he wants from himself, and they've reached a target which is in between that. The negatives of this technique is if it's too easy or hard, it's not motivating. If you get set a target that's way too hard, you're not going to be striving to do it, or the next one, because you think maybe that's too hard as well. Same thing with if it's too easy, you get it done really quickly. Say if it's a 3-month period target and you get it done in 1 week, you don't really have anything else to do for the rest of that, and you might not try as hard. Injury can disrupt the routine, which can be resolved by it being a flexible target, but if a severe injury comes up, it means that you won't meet that target, and that might disrupt your data. And if there's too many targets, it might become worthless. So if you get set a new target each week, it might become a regular thing, and therefore it's not as motivating as it used to be when it started. And the final technique is observational analysis. So this is where a coach will get statistical, objective data from a player, or even from an individual player, from a game, which will show them what they're like in that game. Say, take football for example, it will show the distance they covered, crosses completed, pass completion, dribbles completed, shots on target, goals scored, sprints made. So it's really good for gives you lots of data which can help you look at strengths and weaknesses, which is one of the positives. So if you're getting all this data from this individual player, you can look at all the strengths and weaknesses, and if they're really strong in a certain area, you might pick a new position for them. But you can also work on their weaknesses. If they're weak in the position they're already in, you can set targets for them, make them train in those areas to make them better for that. It's hard evidence, so for players that are a bit cocky, a bit up themselves, if you get data showing that they're not actually all that, it can't be argued, it can bring them down a bit, so they start trying harder, they're less cocky. The same thing with underconfident people. If they don't really think much of themselves, and then you do some observational analysis and you get data showing them that they're actually one of the best in the teams, it might build their confidence, make them strive more. As I said, it can help you pick new positions for players. If you get observational analysis for a winger, but they're making more dribbles completed and more passes completed, you might maybe change them to a centre mid. Or if you have a striker that's his data showing that he goes out wide and gets lots of crosses in, you might change him to a winger. You can also change tactics. If you get it for a whole team and you see there's lots of players playing in the same sort of style, you might pick a tactic that suits all the players or the style that they're all playing. It could be really beneficial for a team. And it looks at all elements of the sport. So in football, it will look at every single element of a player, look at their shooting, their passing, their dribbling, all the skills needed for the game, which is really good. It means it's not looking at like one aspect. So if you're bad at shooting, then the coach might not think you're very good. It's not like that. You look at every single thing. So the coach will always look at you in a positive way from your positive data. The negatives of this is human error. So if there's too many players, so if you're watching a whole team and you're trying to write down everything that everyone does, it will obviously become too much and you won't get it all right. Or if it's a fast-paced sport like table tennis, you won't be able to count every single forehand they make, every single backhand they make, every single shot they miss. It's just too fast-paced for that. And also it can be time-consuming. If you're doing it for a whole team, and say your club hasn't got a very big budget and you've only got one chip or one band for in the whole club, so you can only use it for one player per game, it will take 15 games to get your whole squad having this data to be able to pick new tactics. That's quite time consuming. It might not be worth it. And it's also quantity over quality, so that means it's looking at hard data and it's not taking into account the technique of the player, how they execute their skills. So they might miss 50% of their passes, but they're actually hitting the passes with the spot on technique, or their shooting technique is absolutely spot on, but because they're not on target, you don't count it as a good shot. And that can be quite bad in terms of confidence of a player. They might try and change the way they shoot, but if they're already shooting with the correct technique, then that might be bad. They might change into a wrong technique.